In this video, we're going to learn how to use Excel to help us calculate our statistics. You're going to find that Excel is a really easy tool to use to help you with your numbers and your statistics, and it's much more convenient sometimes than doing everything by hand. So to kind of start, we have all of these tabs up here that are just like when you're working with Word, and you have Home, Insert, page layout. You can change your margins and orientations. Formulas, you can look up formulas. That's going to be helpful in a minute. There's ways to do data. You can review. You have spell check. You can change what view you look at. And then you can always change it to a PDF for submitting later. So here's this Acrobat tab. Let's go back to the Home tab. You have choices. You can still change your font and your font size and all of that. So let's go ahead and start by trying to put a title on our page. All I have to do is click in a cell, any cell, and it moves around here. And if I would like, I can start typing, and I can type in Miss Krumzig's wooden block data. I can come up here if I need to, and I can change this because I forgot to capitalize B, and so there we go. Okay, so now I notice that I'm going to put my data right down here in the bottom, so I may want this kind of centered up here at the top. So I'm going to click the 3 or 4 cells that I would like to have this title in, and I'm going to come up here, and here's this little button, and it's called Merge and Center. And if I click it, it takes the cells that I've highlighted and it makes it one cell, and it will center my data inside of it. If I want it undone, all I have to do is go back and click it again, and then it's not merged and centered any longer, but I want mine centered over my data. I can also change my font and the font size by highlighting it. I can come up here and change it to whatever font that I like. I really like Georgia. And I can change the size of it too as well. And then notice that it makes it too big. So I can adjust the height of these are rows right here. The numbers represent rows. I can adjust the height of my row if I come over here on the side, and I get the bar that has the double arrows on each side. I can just click and drag, and it makes it taller. Or I can come over here and I can right click, and then I can say format cells, or I can pick row height, and then I can type in a value that I want for my row height. The same thing can be done for the columns up here at the top. Each of these is a column. Each of the letters represents a column, and I can change the width that I would like each column. I can do it individually this way, or I can select some columns and then right click, and I can go column width, and I can make the column width of each one a certain amount. And I'm not sure exactly what numbers work. I just play around with it until I figure out what I like. See, 10 doesn't quite fit. Okay, so here it is. There's my title. Now I want to enter some data from my measurements that I've taken on my wooden block, so that I can use Excel to help me calculate mean, median, mode, and especially that standard deviation, because that formula is kind of a bear. So I'm going to enter in just some pretend data for right now, and all I do is I click on this cell, and then I type and I hit enter. And I'm just typing in several points. You'll be entering in your wooden block data here. Okay, so I have my data entered here. You can format this data by highlighting it all and then right click, and I can go to Format Cells. In here I have this number cell, and I can tell it that it's just a general number. I can say that it's a number, and when I pick number I can say how many decimal places I would like for it to have. All of mine have 1, so I can ask for them to all have 1 decimal place. Or I could ask for 2, and then it's going to format it, and all the numbers that I entered are going to have a 0 at the end. But mine just had 1, so I'm going to say they all should have 1. This is also good to know for later. You may need a currency. You can make it look like money. You can make it look like a date or a time or a percentage, a fraction. You can tell it that it's text instead of a number. So this is also where you can choose to align it. Maybe I want them to be centered in the middle. Then I can click centered. And the vertical alignment, maybe I want them to be centered as well. And then I click OK. Oh, you have choices for the font here again if you want to strike through or do superscript or subscript, underline some of it. This is also where you find the border. I'm going to show you this in just a minute. And then you can also fill your cells with color or no color, or change the background. And then you can also lock your cells so that they can't be changed. So this is what it looks like all centered up. Now I'd like to come over to this other side, and I'm going to calculate some statistics. Oh, and I can change the height of these columns if I like, or these rows, I'm sorry, by either clicking and dragging, or I can highlight them and right click and say Format. Oh, no. I can go up here and say Format, and then when I go up here and say Format, I have row height and I have column width, and you can do auto fit so that it fits perfectly if you choose. Okay, so now let's say that I would like to calculate the mode. So I'm going to type in right here, or the mean. Let's find the mean first. Then in this cell right here, I would like to have a formula for the mean. So all I have to do is I clicked on the cell. Now I'm going to go up here and click on f of x. And I'm going to say that I want to do an average. When I click go, it's going to find all of the formulas that require an average. So I'm going to pick average right here. Then it's going to ask, what numbers would you like to average? So all I have to do is click over here and drag to highlight. These are the ones that I would like to average, and I click OK, and there's my average, or my mean. So now let's do median. Okay, so I typed in my text. Here I have, and I'm going to insert a function. This time I want to look for the median. So I just type in median and I click go, and it will find that function for me, and I click OK. And then it asks, what cells would you like to have the median? And I just click over here and then I drag until I get the cells that I want, and then I say OK. There's my median. Now I want to do mode. Then when I click over here, I want to insert a function, and I want to find mode. So I'm just going to type in this box what I'm looking for, and when I click go, it will find it for me. Okay, so I'm going to click mode, OK, and then it's going to ask what cells again that I want the mode for, and I will highlight and click OK, and here is my mode. Down here, I want to do standard deviation. So again, I'm going to click the f of x button up here, and I'm going to type in that I want to find a standard deviation, and click go. Notice we have several different choices here. If I click on this one, it says it estimates the standard deviation based on a sample. And if you'll remember from the PowerPoint video, we are interested in a standard deviation based on a population. So I'm going to click this one. Calculates the standard deviation based on the entire population. So that's the one that I want. And then it's going to ask for my range. And then I'm going to click OK. Oh, nope, I've done this one wrong. I picked the wrong one. I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to go to f of x, and I'm going to say standard deviation. So I'm going to pick this one. Here we go. I want standard deviation. Then it lets me pick. Then I pick the range that I want, standard deviation. And here it is. And then you can compare these values with the ones that you calculated by hand. To see how easy it is to get these values when you enter in your data into an Excel spreadsheet. And then now the last thing that I need to show you how to do is how to edit this and format this so that it looks professional. One of the things we can do is we can come down here where it says Sheet 1 and we can double click and I can rename it to say wooden block data. Because maybe you might have a different sheet, here's a blank sheet, that we could put other data on, and maybe we want to have other data on sheet number 3. So it's nice to rename your sheets so that they're descriptive of what it is you're trying to do. Then the other thing that we can do is to format our table so that it makes so that it looks nice and has nice pretty lines and everything. So I can come here and I'm going to highlight the areas that I would like to draw a table around. And I can either, I can right click here, I can go up here to format, or I can right click here and I can say format cells. And then I'm going to click on the border tab. If I want to outline this whole area, I can click outline. And then over here it shows me what kind of line I'm outlining. So I could pick a thicker outline if I wanted, and then when I click outline, it will do a thick outline, but I really kind of like this line, so I'm going to do an outline that way. And then on the inside, I would like to have some lines, so I'm going to come over here and pick the line that I like on the inside, and I'm going to click inside, and then it's going to put lines like this on the inside. Then I'm going to click OK. So here's what my table looks like with my lines. I'd really kind of like to have a double line up here, and so I'm going to click on this cell, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say format. And then I'm already on the border tab. I'd kind of like to have this double line, but I only want it on the bottom underneath my title. So then I can come over here and click the bottom, and then it shows me how it's going to put a bottom line just on this row of cells. And then this is what it looks like. Okay. You can choose to format these. As I centered these, I could also select these cells and ask them to be, I can right click and format cells. And I can come over here to alignment and I can say that I would like for them to be centered. And then they will be centered as well. You may choose to take the lines off of these. So then I can highlight these, right click, format cells, go to my border, and then all I have to do is say none for the inside, and it takes them off and it says okay. And then I have no lines on the inside for this. You can play around with that to make your table look just like you would like for it to look. Another thing that we need to do before we print is we need to come up here to page layout, and we need to come to print area and set our print area. Before I do that, I need to highlight what area I would like to print. and then I can say print area, and then I can say set my print area. Then whenever I ask it to print, come over here to File, Print, it only prints on the page the area that I asked it to print. Then I can click Print, and then it will only print this instead of all of those cells that we saw. I'm going to go back. And that's how you get your information into Excel and format the Excel document, and that's how you get Excel to calculate these values for you so that you do less work with your calculator.